Welcome to People, Places, and Things, a travel podcast that brings you captivating stories, fascinating people, and unforgettable destinations from all around the world. I'm your host, Ryan Lowe. Let's dive into this journey together. On today's episode, we have Cam Moore from New Zealand. Welcome, Cam.
How's it going?
Pretty good, man. Haven't talked to you in a while. It's good to talk to you. But first, I want to dive into it. I want to talk about your upbringing in New Zealand. How was growing up?
Good. Yeah, I was born on the west coast, down south, a little bit further than where I am now, and then I moved up to Nelson when I was about 4 years old, and I've sort of lived here ever since. Done a brief stint in Christchurch when they had the big earthquakes. We were there about 5 years, and then we left and came back home to Nelson. My wife and I. Yeah, we've been here most of our life up in Nelson, just cruising around, just awesome place to be, awesome place to grow up, you know. Pretty rinky-dink, small town, but like big enough that it's not too small, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I look at your pictures all the time, and I'm like, that's a beautiful little town, though. I mean, the mountain biking looks incredible there.
Yeah, everything. Like it's good in Christchurch when we lived in Christchurch, but everything's so far away. Whereas here, like most suburbs in town, like you're like 10-15 minutes away from being in the mountains, whether it's walking, running, cycling, paragliding, whatever you want to do, it's all there ready to go. Gravel cycling, yeah, it's all super accessible, whereas it's just a little bit, most places it's a little bit more of a journey to like get to stuff like that. Yeah, some of the bigger cities, it's sort of like you've got to drive an hour or half an hour before you get anywhere. I mean, it might not seem much to someone from a bigger country like the US, but it's sort of, yeah, it's nice to have like bush on our doorstep pretty much. It's pretty awesome, to be honest. Yeah, we're super lucky, like super grateful, yeah, to have that right there. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's definitely an outdoor town too. Most of the people
Yeah,
that live there love the outdoors, and it's just a beautiful, picturesque little town, as
yeah.
far as I can tell.
Well, like I was just thinking before, like it's like 2 hours from here, from Nelson, is like you'll be on the top of the west coast, way over at Whaariki, which is a beautiful beach, and like it's just like windswept coastlines, just amazing. And then you go 2 hours the other way to the east coast, and it's like you're in Kaikoura, which is like diving, like just incredible mountains and just all sorts. Like it's all, in the relative scheme of things, it's all pretty close. Yeah, even half an hour from Nelson is like Kaiteri Beach, which is like one of the best beaches in the world, sort of thing. You know, beautiful golden sand and like just awesome. You know, so close. Yeah,
Yeah, you got all the best of all worlds, you know?
yeah. It's like, yeah, you don't have to travel far, and there's like no traffic because it's such a small town. Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
That's sweet. Everyone knows each other more or less, and
Yeah, to a
it's
degree.
pretty
Yeah,
tight knit community, kind of.
yeah. Mm.
That's awesome. I mean, so you love to travel. It's kind of more or less the Kiwi spirit, kind of the same as the Aussie spirit. It's more like I feel like it's anyone that's on an island like that. Like obviously it's a massive island. The North and South Island are pretty massive islands. But it's kind of like in your spirit to travel and to get out of there and see the world, right?
Yeah, like even like growing up as a teenager, we'd like when you got your license, you would just get in the car and drive. Like sometimes we'd be just cruising around like late at night, like 12 o'clock at night, and we'd be like, "Oh, let's go to Christchurch." It's a 4.5 hour, 5 hour drive in the middle of nowhere, and we just load up the car with people and just drive into the night into like bush, and then you get to Christchurch, which was our big city. Um, yeah, it's just like something that you because you're on the island, you sort of you want to go and see as much as possible, whether it be going down to the west coast to ride a skate park, or like going to a beach on the west coast, northern west coast, and camping for a weekend and like having bonfires on the beach and like just doing stuff like that. Yeah, it's a huge well, as part of my sort of upbringing, my father was very outdoorsy. We did a lot of like kayaking and stuff like that. So um, we stayed like, I suppose you would call it off grid now, but it was just camping to us. You'd just go out for a week and you'd be on some remote beach somewhere, chilling out, having bonfires and running down sand dunes as a kid. It's pretty ingrained in us, you know. Yeah.
Absolutely. We met in 2019 on the Mongol Rally,
Yeah.
put on by the Adventurers. I believe we didn't meet at Junktown, but I think it was Azerbaijan in a little town named Alat, a port town named Alat, waiting for the to be ferried across the Caspian Sea to Turkmenistan. We met you along with your teammates Carl and Leo, and you three were the Barefoot Bandits.
Yeah.
Tell us about your rally experience and the route that you three took.
It was great. Like, um, it was probably one of the best things that I've ever done. Like, it was just such an experience. And when we did it, like, it wasn't super expensive. Like, I think it was around like 9,000 New Zealand dollars we spent all up just for me to get over there. That included my flights, accommodation, um, buying stuff or whatever I needed to buy. We were lucky enough to have someone sponsor our fuel for the rally. Um, so we had that expense cut out, which was really cool. Um, but easily best thing I've ever done. Um, it was it was eye opening coming from a small like I'd done a little bit of travel before, um, like to Australia and Bali and Rarotonga, but it's it was different because we were traveling from like England, and then you're getting into like we started in Prague and Czechoslovakia, and it was like such a culture shift. The ex-Soviet like buildings and stuff like that. It was a real eye opener. Even just traveling through Europe, you go, "Wow, this is like next level." It was just something so foreign to living in New Zealand, where everything's sort of like uh, a bit more simple, if you get what I mean. Um,
Right, right.
yeah, yeah, but it was awesome. Like we went from London, we went up through like Amsterdam and through Germany and Austria and stuff like that. We stayed with um, friends that did like exchanges at colleges in Nelson, German people, and they come over here and we're at school for a whole year. And then obviously we stayed friends, and then we stayed at their place in Germany, and they showed us around and went on the autobahn and like did heaps of crazy stuff. And then like they just looked after us like we looked after them when they were here, sort of thing. It was a really cool part of our trip. And then we we sort of just we took quite a normal route, I think, through. Um, when we got into Turkey, we were meant to go through Iran, but we had trouble with our car because Carl and I were able to go through Iran without a guide, but Leo, who was a British citizen, would have meant we'd had to pay the guide to get across. So we tried to bribe our way across the border, but that didn't work. So we just sort of backtracked, picked Leo up again because he was going to meet us on the other side. He was going to fly into Turkmenistan, I think it was. But what we end up doing is just backtracking. Actually, there's a bigger story to that. We were in where the fairy castles are in Turkey. What's it called with the hot air balloons?
Cappadocia.
Cappadocia, yes. We're in Cappadocia and we're camping there, and we got back to our car one day and there was a sticker on the windscreen, and it was a guy from Rotorua, and which is a city or a town similar to Nelson up north in the North Island. And he had purchased a brand new Land Cruiser, shipped it to Thailand, and he had driven all across the world in 3 month stints. So he'd go away for 3 months and drive his truck, and then he'd come back and he would do work, and then he'd go back another 3 months later and do the same thing. And he put a sticker on our car, and we sort of got in touch with him over Instagram, and we're just sort of chatting away and what we were up to and stuff. And he was on a similar course to us going to Iran, and what we ended up doing is we couldn't get through the border out of Turkey into Iran, so I messaged him. We'd never met this guy before. I messaged him and I said, "Hey, can you grab Leo? He's going to fly into this airport." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm coming through that way." Actually, my son, who was with him, he was leaving out of that airport, and Leo's flight literally come in 5 minutes after his son left. So it worked out like it was like meant to be. And he picked Leo up and brought him to us in a small border town in Turkey, and then we went north into, I think it was Jordan. Yeah, Jordan, and then Azerbaijan. Oh no, Georgia. It was Georgia, then Azerbaijan, and that's where I met you guys at that what would you call it? A shambles of a ferry port. It was a very stressful ferry port, considering like we have a ferry that goes from the South Island to the North Island, and like I can just pull up the website on my phone and book a ticket, to get my car across and be there this afternoon and get on the ferry and go across. And that ferry
Yeah, it took
port,
us like 3 days,
oh,
right?
it was so hectic. Like looking back on it now, it was like a very hectic like way of running a port. Like, yeah, it was crazy. So yeah, but it was cool. It was like all those experiences of like being at that ferry port and like meeting you guys and just having fun and like just living in that moment of sort of just taking it as it comes. That's I really value that. And when you get back to work and you're kind of like get up, eat, sleep, work, repeat, sort of thing. You kind of value all that sporadicness of your journey that we did. It's pretty cool. Yeah,
No, it was awesome, man. It was super cool meeting you guys, and just just hanging out with you guys at the port, and I think we went to dinner one night, and it got a little rowdy.
Yeah.
Um,
That's right. That's right. Yes. Yeah, that's right. Oh, what was that? It was like an altercation with like a local guy or
no, it
something.
was that German guy. It was the buff German
Oh,
guy that was he was eating with us, you
yeah.
know, because he was on his crotch rocket going from Germany to like Kazakhstan. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't know. He was mentioning
he was on
something
a
about some
motorbike.
girlfriend over there.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
That's right. Oh, I forgot about that. See, like all these like little things, like occasionally I'll go through because I did all the social media for our trip, for the Barefoot
Mhm.
Bandits. So
Mm.
um, I recorded as much as I could, like just in stories, you know. So I posted stories as we are going along, and I made sure I tried to save as much as I could so that it all just went on to the Barefoot Bandits um, Instagram page. So every now and then I'll go back and I'll open Mongol Rally 3 or whatever, and we'll be cruising through Germany or something like that, you know. Um, it was, yeah, it's cool, like having those little things to go back on and memorize, but I didn't get everything. Like I tried not to like live the trip through the phone. I tried to record as much as I could and like the interesting things that happened for the people back home and our sponsors and stuff like that. But I didn't want to be like one of those people that goes to a music concert and just stares at the back of their phone the whole time because they were recording, you know, and then never watch it. I sort of wanted to live in that moment as well as capture it, which is quite a difficult task because then you miss things like that that story, and then you sort of catch up with people, and then they're like, "Oh, do you remember?" Like you catch up with Carl, and they'll be like, "Oh, I remember when we did this or when this happened." And you're like, "Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I completely forgot
Yeah,
about that."
that's a good thing. Like, so like, yeah, we were drinking like, man, we had vodka, like a ton of vodka on the table. I don't know, there was like 10 of us
Yeah,
at the table,
yeah,
man, I really enjoyed that. Like, I have like a a crazy memory for stuff like this kind of thing. Cause
yeah,
so like, but then even sometimes people bring up stuff and I'm like, oh, I haven't heard that in years, you know?
yeah, yeah,
Um, but like, yeah, that was so fun. And, yeah, he ended up like trying to get every single person at the table to wrestle him.
yeah.
And like,
That's
yeah, so
right.
he was bulldogging all of us. He was super
Yeah,
aggressive.
yeah.
And then
That,
finally I was like, yeah, whatever, I'll do it.
oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and you beat him, and everyone was like, "Yeah." Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah, I was definitely a little
Drunk.
inebriated at that point. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I would say so.
Yeah,
But no, good times,
I
man.
can't believe I don't remember that, eh? Like, it's sort of like I remember the dinner now that you mentioned it, but, like, yeah, I forgot all that about that guy because we were with, like, all the other teams that were waiting for ferries as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll send you actually, I got videos of that, and, you're in some you're, of course, because 'cause you're sitting right beside me.
Yeah.
You're in some of those videos too. So, I'll send you those.
Oh, cool.
Um, so, yeah, man, so we got on the ferry finally
Yeah,
after, like, 72 hours at least. It had to be
yeah,
more than 72
yeah.
hours. But we get on, and we get the cars on, everything, and I mean, it was as expected, right? Like, it was, like, podunk ferry, like
It was like,
like, bare bones minimum,
well, yeah, it was like I didn't think it was too bad. I've never been on a cruise ship or anything like that, but the ferries in New Zealand are just pretty much transport ferries, so they take trucks and cars and stuff like that. So they're not much more than that Turkmenistan ferry, but they're a little bit more commercialized. Whereas that was it felt Turkmenistan, if you know what I mean. It felt very the boat was very modern, but the the outside of the boat was very modern. But then you got inside and you were like, oh, there's sweet F all here, you know. There was like cabins and stuff like that, but we couldn't get the cabins because they were sort of like for locals, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
So we just sat up the front of the ferry in the like dining room, you know. Um, and do you remember that guy, that old guy that kept like coming around to us and like he wasn't trying to talk to us, but I think he ended up helping us transfer money, like get to Turkmenistan dollars. Um, and he was just like it was a little bit weird. It was very Turkmenistan. And then I wanted to have a shower because it was I think it was a 24-hour ferry, wasn't it? And he came around and he was seeing if we wanted money or whatever, or he was trying to talk to us or something. And I was like, "Oh, shower, shower," and he was like, "Yeah," and he took me to his cabin and he let me have a shower in his cabin, and everyone else was too scared to like talk to him to ask if they could have a shower as well. It was quite
I
funny.
remember that, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we sort of like befriended him, and then when we got off the ferry, of course, all the locals just disappear because they don't have to go through customs or whatever, and we just got absolutely grilled, you know.
Yeah, no, and thinking back on it, it wasn't that bad, but maybe, like, I'm comparing it to, ones that are in England, some ferries in England that I took
Yeah,
that were,
yeah,
like, really nice. Maybe that was kinda what I'm comparing it to, and I can't,
yeah.
that's
I
not a
remember
good comparison.
the plastic sausages. Do you remember those?
Yeah.
And they looked like red bits of plastic, and they were they wrapped in plastic as well? It was something like that, and they were hot. They'd
The
warmed them up.
texture
Yeah, and it was like dog roll.
was
It was like dog food.
yeah,
Yeah.
and they had, like, the buffet or whatever, like,
Yeah.
like, the little, buffet for everyone on board, and, mostly truck drivers.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, what, 90% truck drivers? And then,
Yeah,
like,
pretty
our little
much.
shitty cars with stickers all over them.
Yeah, and I've got a real good photo of, like, the cars parked up and, like, those, the big trucks beside us, and everyone's all these little cars just, like, sort of poked in there. Yeah, it was cool. That was cool. Yeah.
That was a cool experience. So, all in all, so it took us 72 hours to get the ticket, and then get on the board, 24 hours to get across, so now we're at 96 hours, and then we're coming up on Turkmenbashi, like, the port
Yeah.
town, and it looks like Mars. I don't know if you remember that, but, like,
Yeah, it
it looked
was
like red, like, huge mountain. It's, like, just, like, vividly, I remember it being, like, super red, like, Martian-like, you know?
yeah, it was very, like, bluffy, like, desert sort of bluffs, and the, like, houses were just sorta like yeah, it wasn't much of a like, when I think port, I think like an industrious, like, place, and then it had the port, facilities were, like, brand new, like, fancy, like, typical Turkmenistan, like, as flash as you can have it. Meanwhile, down the street, there's, like, dirt poor, you know, and I remember the ferry terminal was just, like, extravagant. Yeah, super extravagant, like real flash toilets in the bathrooms and stuff like that. Like, yeah.
Everything was marble, white marble, like, a lot of stuff.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah, and that ferry port, yeah, it was something else. Yeah, and then you get out of the ferry port and it's just like, wow, wow. It was just like really it went from like first world to like third world in like a matter of like a kilometer, you know? It's just yeah,
Yeah,
it
and it
changed
took, like,
so quick.
7 hours to process us.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's right. And
It was like you and Matt. So you and Matt were dealing with that.
no, it was
Matt was deal
Leo. It was Leo because
Oh,
Leo had
was it
the
Leo? Oh,
yeah
yeah.
because he had the ownership because he was a British citizen. He bought the car in the UK and he put it on his like residency sort of thing. That's why we couldn't get out of Turkey, because he owned the car. Um, so yeah, he had to do that, and it was I just remember we were waiting in like the 30-degree heat, just like baking, waiting in the cars, waiting for them to get through. Oh no, we didn't have the cars, did we? Because they still had the cars, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they had the cars. Yeah, yeah, they
Yeah,
had the cars. I got the video of them driving through.
that's
And
right.
dude, our paperwork was all fraudulent. Ours was everything was illegal that,
Yeah. Oh,
that we were doing
it wouldn't surprise me.
because like we used the address of like the mechanic
Oh
that we
yeah,
bought the car from.
yeah,
We're all US citizens.
yeah.
And
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you guys would have had to have like a guide and stuff.
yeah, we couldn't go through Iran.
Oh,
We did Turkmenistan, of course, but
yeah,
yeah, we would have to have a guide there, and that kind of like priced us out.
yeah.
We wanted to do that, but
You're definitely not going to be allowed back there now.
definitely not. No, but like no, just like the car, like so
Yeah,
we didn't even have the MOT for the car
yeah,
from Britain. And the only cop who picked up on it was in Spain, in
yeah,
Pamplona, when we were about to run with the bulls.
yeah,
And he was kicking tourists out of town, and he ran our tag number, and he was like, "Hey, like which one of you are so and so?" And we are like, and we showed him. He's like, all of this is not. You don't have the right paperwork for this car, like
yeah.
to be driving around." And we ended up driving that thing through 36 countries.
Yeah,
It all
well,
worked out, but like,
yeah. It's like once you get out of Europe, it doesn't matter. Like no one in Turkey's pulling you over and going, "Oh, you haven't got a warrant of fitness in the UK." No one cares. Like they just don't care.
yeah, yeah, you're
You know?
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That was the beauty of it. I remember when we were getting insurance for our car, it was like, oh, once you're out the European Union, it's just like free for all. You couldn't even get travel insurance. Like it was like, yeah, it was crazy.
Um, no, it definitely was. Once you're out of Europe, you're, kind of on your own buying insurance in every country
Yeah, that's right.
and
Yeah,
and like every border you'd have to do something, pay for something. Uh no, like it was such a good time, man. And uh so we get across the port and our head gasket below we're driving. You
that's
guys are in
right.
front of us.
Yeah,
You guys are in front of us. I'm driving the car and the head gasket just goes out of
blows.
nowhere, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
that's
just
right.
blows. And you guys didn't realize it for a while, and then you guys realized it after a while, and you were like, "Oh shit, they're not behind us."
And we pulled
And you
over.
guys turned around. You guys were champs.
Yeah,
Pulled over, came back for us, and our head gasket was blown.
yeah. Didn't we tow yous for quite a to the next town, or did we tow you into the capital?
No, you towed us to the next town that night because it was already like midnight.
Yeah, it was quite late. Yeah, I remember it was getting late because you guys had to keep stopping and filling up for water, and um, yeah, and then we're like, oh, we'll just tow, and it's like two little shitbox cars. I think we were towing it over 100 kilometers an hour,
And we had
from
a
what I remember.
15-foot tow rope.
Yeah, it was so short.
And
Yeah,
I was driving. I was the one in the car. I was the one behind the wheel. And if remember that Turkmen highway was so bumpy,
yeah,
and like, dude, it was slinging me to your bumper and
yeah,
then back again, snatching you.
yeah,
And then like, it's such variable highway, variable terrain.
yeah.
Like
Avoiding
it was
potholes.
on,
Yeah,
dude. I was white knuckling the whole time.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It was crazy.
Very thankful for you guys.
I have a vivid memory of later on, we were with another Kiwi team after I think you guys had stopped in that next town to get the head gasket replaced. And we bumped into another Kiwi team and they had a really old Suzuki Swift. And their I think their head gasket ended up blowing, but we weren't far away from the capital then, so they just ended up driving. But I remember us being on the side of the road, and it was like, I think it was almost 40 in the desert. It was like 42 degrees Celsius, and the locals were driving past in Toyota Camrys with like a 4-inch lift kit on it, and they were doing like 140 or something. They were going so fast, and because they were going so fast, they were hitting these giant unavoidable potholes in our little slow shit boxes. But because they had the suspension and bigger tires and stuff like that, they were hitting these potholes and just skipping over them like rocks over, like throwing a stone over water. It was just unreal, and they were like tooting and waving at us as they were like going past. Yeah, it's so funny. Yeah,
Yeah, I think yeah, I think I remember that. I think we were actually with you guys
yeah,
because I think we were pulled over. We got to Ashgabat with you guys, and because you remember, I have we get to Ashgabat, we go to the mechanic shop and stuff, and the next day Matt ends up getting sick and stuff, and we end up hanging out. So I end up hanging out with, I think it was just you, Carl, and me,
yeah.
I believe. And we end up going to the mosque, checking out like some of the more important sites around
Oh, that's
Ashgabat
right.
and
Yeah, yeah,
driving around the
yeah.
town and like,
We saw the golden
and you guys,
centipede.
yeah, yeah. And I got a video of us in the mosque.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, that's right. See, I've forgotten all this stuff, eh? I might have to go back and watch all that Turkmenistan episode on the Barefoot Bandits Instagram and relive it. Yeah.
No, I mean it was to be fair, it was you could I mean 5 years ago, half a decade
Yeah.
ago.
Did you come into that supermarket that was it down the road from our hotel? And it was like that. It was eerily creepy. That Ashgabat, like it was clad in marble. It was there's something not right there, with that whole dictatorship. Um, and I walked into this see supermarket or something above it, like a shop. And I walk in there, it's like 2 stories high. It's got like a mezzanine floor, and it's just like packed with groceries, and everything's perfect on the shelf. Like, when you go into a grocery store and there might be like a couple of bags of chips missing, or like a couple of soda bottles missing off the shelf, and they haven't pulled them all forward yet. But the supermarket was like pristine. Everything was at the front of the shelf, everything was stacked perfectly. And I remember looking in the drinks fridge, and it was like, I think I've got a photo, and it was like this massive open air drinks cooler, and they had cans of Pepsi with Michael Jackson on them. They had to be like a 90s thing or something. I really should have bought one and brought it back with me. Um, but yeah, it was just crazy. It was just everything about that place was eerie, and like the people that we talked to that went to that indoor amusement park with the world's biggest indoor Ferris wheel, and they said they like walk in and there's just, next thing you know, there's no one there, and then next thing you know, there's someone right beside you. Oh, how's it going? And they want to show you around, because that's their job as like a government
Yeah.
employee, was to make sure that the tourists see all the cool things and don't see all the bad stuff. You know, um, yeah,
Dude,
but
that was so insane, right?
it, it's other, like, I can't explain it. Like, um, I think it was Yes Theory did a video when they went over to Turkmenistan, and they had guides, um, and everything they did in Turkmenistan to the T was exactly how I felt when I was there. Like, it just brought back so many like visceral memories of like how things were, and I was like, I showed it to my wife, and I was like, this is exactly how it was. Like, yeah, it's just it was other. It was creepy. It was just yeah, it was something different, very different.
Yeah, man, and I I totally agree. And getting to experience it with you guys was super cool, and getting to meet you guys was awesome. Just exploring that town, man, was just insane because I've never seen something like it. And other teams uh, mentioned going to like hotels, stopping by, and they would go in, and there's these grand like hotels, and they're
Mm,
white marble clad,
yeah,
everything. And they go in, there's a front desk agent, auditor, whatever, and they would talk to him, and they'd be like, "Nope, all full." There'd be
yeah.
no one in the hotel,
No one,
and they
no
told
one
him,
in the
"Oh, nope,
parking
we
lot.
can't stay
Yeah,
here."
yeah, yeah. That's right. Yeah, it was crazy. Eh? It's so government like controlled, and they like did they take you? They took your passports every time you stopped at a place, and every time you stopped at a hotel, you know, they'd look at you, they'd sign you out on their passport um, to sort of keep track of where you were. Like I remember when we come over into the port, they were like, "What direction? Like what route are you taking?" And there's only like fucking two roads in the whole of Turkmenistan that went the way that we needed to go. And I was like, "Well, we're going this one, you know. We can't go anywhere else. Otherwise, we'd be just driving over desert." And we don't really have the car for that.
No, dude, it was, and yeah, exactly, and it was a little weird, man. You get followed, there's secret police,
Yeah, that's
and
right. Yeah.
do you remember being in that small town, man, and we were going for tea, and we were all sitting, like, cross-legged, around around this, around this mat and having tea in this little tea house, and there's this dude who popped in there. The dude had to be like 7 foot tall and maybe 450 pounds. I'm not even exaggerating. The dude was probably one of the biggest dudes I've ever seen in person, like massive.
Hmm.
And I remember you were like, "Holy fuck, that's a big ass fucking human." I remember you were like just astounded. You're like, "How does someone get that big?" Like,
Yeah.
and I was
It
just like,
sounds that
"That's a
sounds
that's
like it sounds like something I'd definitely say. Yeah.
dude."
Yeah.
And he was just all muscle. It wasn't like he was fat. Like this dude was like 7 foot tall, 450 pounds of muscle.
I remember we went
Just
to we were passing through a town and we're like, oh, we'll stop and go to we'll go to like this market and get something to eat. And I was like taking photos and stuff like that with my like a big proper digital DSLR camera. And I was taking photos and like they told you not to take photos of the locals and stuff like that. And I remember I was like walking through this market taking photos of the locals and like some locals in a shop gave me some like kids sunglasses because I put them on and was being stupid in their shop, you know, and like took photos of them. I've still got all those photos. And then we went to leave the markets. As we were leaving the markets, there was like a group of like 10 or 15 police all walking down towards the markets, and we just sort of nipped and went back to the cars as like quick as we could and just got in the cars and just went because we didn't know if it was going to be they're coming for us because I was just openly walking around taking photos, or if you know someone had tipped them off. And you know I didn't I just yeah I just remember we were all just like, wow, that's a lot of police. Why would they be coming here? There was no police here before. Let's scram, you know, let's get out of here. And we all just like gapped it and left. Yeah.
no, that's true. And that's very true. And I remember it being a little weird. Uh, there was no tourists other than us there in that
Yeah,
market.
pretty much. Well,
Like
what was
real
it?
deal.
I remember the adventurers said that, or some, I remember seeing somewhere that it was like only like 5,000 tourists go through there every year. like 5,000 people, and we were lucky enough to be a few of them. It's pretty crazy. Yeah,
Yeah, and most of those on that statistic are Japanese businessmen. Like there's a
yeah,
lot of like natural gas
yeah,
people that do business for natural gas.
yeah, yeah. The last place I'd do business with is Turkmenistan. I just found it so surreal. But didn't they heard a rumor? I don't know if it was too. I might be mixing North Korea with. I think it was North Korea built an airport for this dictator, and then this architect built this airport, and then just disappeared. They just got rid of him once he was done his job. Can't remember. I don't think it was Turkmenistan. I think that was North Korea, but it was very similar vibes. Like if you made a mistake or if you got caught by the police, you were in deep shit. It was not a place to. It was not a country that you would flout the laws, if you know what I mean, and really push the limits, or like some people would. Just it seemed sketchy, but it was cool. It was awesome. Like being in that culture, and like the locals, like there were some locals that didn't want you to take their photos and were very like strict about that. And then there were some locals that were so welcoming and just really lovely people, like just wanted to like share their country with you. And that was really special in such a sheltered country like that.
Yeah, I agree, man. And uh I just remember people looking at us and uh they weren't they didn't know how to like I don't know, they weren't mean or anything like that. They just kind of didn't
Standoff.
know how to take
I
it.
was standoffish. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Um
yeah,
Not saying they're bad people or anything. Everyone's just a product of their environment, and that's how I
yeah,
see it. Like
exactly. Yeah,
um it was cool. Yeah. It was cool like you were saying, like just looking from the outside lens looking into that world.
yeah,
Um
yeah,
And I think we parted ways in Ashgabat because it took us a while to get the head
yeah.
gasket.
You spent a couple of days getting your head gasket replaced. Which what was it? $100 for a head gasket replacement in 2 days.
Yeah, $120 with,
Yeah,
everything. Labor part, everything.
that's unreal, and that's something I remember in Uzbekistan. We went to There was like a big um, like auto market, um, and it was just like had anything you could think of for a vehicle, stereos, LED hood emblems, stickers, tints for your windows. Like it just had everything. You could get rims, you could get tires, you could get a complete engine. You know, um, like those places, they were so. Um, I don't know. I don't know how everything was so cheap. Because like if you did a head gasket in New Zealand, it would cost you probably $2,000, $3,000. It's not a cheap thing doing a head gasket. It's a tear down of your motor. Um, I remember you was telling us that on the chat when we were like further ahead, and I was just like, I can't believe that. It's crazy. Like, can't believe it got done for 120 US dollars.
No, it could have it could have made or break our rally.
Yeah,
Matt and I talked about that. We were like, "All right, man, if it's like $1,200, 1,200 US dollars, what we can split it, but like we have enough to finish this thing and go back home and
mm,
like start a new job, because we all quit our jobs and everything."
yeah, yeah,
So it was like it was like make it or break it kind of point. And then when they were like, "Yeah, $120 because they overnighted the part from Istanbul.
That's so fucking crazy, that it was like that. Like that's
It
just
was like meant to
unreal.
be.
Yeah. It's so crazy. Yeah. And
But
for such like a like those cars weren't driving around everywhere, you know. It's like even in Turkey, like the only other micros that I saw were Nissan micros were other rally goers. You know, it's not a common
yeah.
car. So like, yeah, I remember in Mongolia, the Irish team, what were they called? Um, Something Buck, and they had that Honda Fit, and they had cut the guards out of it and put tractor tires on it, so it had these massive lumpy tires on it. It could go anywhere. I've grown up with Hondas. I love Hondas. I know you can thrash the absolute shit out of them, and they will keep going. You know, and they were in Mongolia, and they went through a ford and hydrolocked their motor. So basically, sucked water into their engine, and the piston compressed and blew a hole out of the side of their engine. Um, they, a Mongolian person, rocked up with a truck with a box on the back of it, like a standard delivery truck, and they backed it up to a pile of dirt, and they pushed the car into the back of this truck, drove them to the next town, and they got a whole Honda Fit motor put in this car in like 2 days. Just a
Holy
complete, just a
shit.
complete engine transplant in a car, and that enabled them to get to the next. And I don't think it was very expensive either. It was cheap as chips.
Dude, that's incredible
Yeah,
that they, in that part of the world, it's got to be relative. The prices have to be relative to the people, what their people are getting paid to the people's cost of living, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah,
but at the same time, they know we're foreigners and they could charge us more. They just chose not to.
yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I remember. I think it was in Turkmenistan, or it might have been Mongolia. They're very similar in landscape. I remember we drove past a truck, a big semi truck with like truck and trailer, and the the truck was parked up, and in front of the truck was the entire motor out of this truck. So what had happened is the truck had shit the bed, and they pulled over, dropped the whole motor out of this truck onto tires or some sort of, so it didn't fall over. And that I just remember we drove past this guy, and he was just talking down the head bolts on this big engine sitting in the middle of the road in the middle of the desert. There was fucking nothing for miles. He was fixing this whole truck by himself. He didn't have anyone else, and the truck was just sitting there with the grill missing out of it. So that I'm guessing when it was done, they'd get another truck and tow it over, and then jack the motor back into it. And it was just like you'd never see that in New Zealand. Like if a truck broke down, they pull over, and then they get someone else comes and picks their trailers up and takes the trailers, and then the truck gets taken somewhere and gets repaired off site. You know, I just thought it was so crazy that they were like doing that on the side of the road in the desert. It was just like a madness, but like so cool, like such a cool memory to have, like seeing that. Yeah,
Yeah, that's service right there. Come
yeah.
and do a major repair on the side of
Oh,
the road.
it was crazy, man. It's crazy. Yeah,
Um, so your team, you go to the Darbarza gas crater, I assume?
yeah. We
After
went there.
Gates
Yeah,
of Hell?
yeah. Stayed there a night. Didn't get ripped off by the locals. You weren't with us then. You were still in Ashgabat, because I think we went Ashgabat to the gas crater, and I remember on the chat, the Mongol Rally chat, everyone was saying, "Oh, watch out for the locals on the entrance when you go in. They'll try and take you down a way that gets you stuck in the sand, and and you just sort of you can just drive because it's not like Google Maps. There's no like tourist road signs or anything like that. So you sort of just make your way through these sand dunes. And I remember we come to this spot, and there was another team who got like halfway through, and they were trying to get out, and another team was trying to pull them out. And we stopped on the other side of this big sandy, like really soft sand pit. And was I driving? I think I might have been driving, and I was just like, right, we're just gonna hit it as fast as we can. Like growing up in New Zealand, like driving on beaches and like dirt roads and taking little cars where they're not meant to go, I was just like, we've just got to go as fast as we can and not slow down. So it was just like third or fourth gear, just absolutely pinned with like a car full of gear. We kicked everyone out, car full of gear with our roof box on and stuff like that. And I just hit it as quick as possible. And we got to the other side of the sandy area, and then everyone jumped back in, and we were driving towards the gas crater, and literally like 100 meters from that big sand pit, but there was some locals with their big flash Toyota Land Cruiser sitting in the like in behind the sand dunes, just waiting for people to get stuck. And then they apparently would come out and they go, "Oh yeah, give us $100 and we'll pull you out." And that was
Oh
their like
shit.
scam, and they knew we were all coming through. So they'd just sit down there every night and do that. But we got through. Once the rest of the people that were following us saw me just absolutely punch it through, then everyone else just followed suit and just gave it the beans, and got through. Yeah, that gas crater was amazing though. It was really, really cool spot. Mm.
And it was super cool, and we were a night after you, so
Yeah,
I think we reached it the day after you guys have already been there.
yeah.
Um, we had a great experience. Like, um,
Did you get
we
there
seen the
during the
same text
day?
messages you do. What's that?
Did you get there during the day?
Yes.
Yeah. See, when we turned up there, it was like pitch black. We didn't know where we were going, like sort of thing. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. But yeah, during the day would have been
Oh,
a lot
that's a
better.
whole different thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So there was this one dude, we did get stuck for a second, but like there was this one dude trying to help us, and then we didn't know if he was trying to rip us off or not.
yeah,
But he just had ice cold beer, selling it for like nothing,
yeah,
and then helped us for
yeah,
no money. Like
yeah.
didn't want any money. He was just like, "Yeah, just sell ice cold beer out here." I mean, it was a great experience. Like he's he was not trying to do anything. He had no agenda.
Mm,
So other than selling that beer, and uh, we figured out, like you deflate your tires, whatever it might be,
yeah,
33 PS normal, you deflate them to 13 PSI,
yeah,
super soft, and you can drive right through the desert
yeah,
just fine.
yeah.
And when we learned that, we were like, oh shit, okay,
Just makes it so much easier. Yeah,
so much easier. And
yeah,
but definitely driving at night, that would have been a nightmare because it was deep in there. Like that
yeah,
wasn't like a short distance to the gas crater.
yeah. I know. Yeah, we're sort of like, are we on the right spot? And then like we sort of just followed tire tracks, if you know what I mean, like because there was quite a few teams there when we got there. So there was already teams that had got there that like during the day. Yeah,
Yeah, that was cool, man.
yeah.
That was
I
cool. Very interesting.
yeah, I remember the road from the gas crater to the border was the worst road I've ever driven on in my life. I think we were like maximum like maybe 10 kilometers an hour, and it was just one side to the other, to the grass verge, to a drainage ditch, whatever you could find that was like semi smooth, you would try and drive on because it was just hectic otherwise. Like you just couldn't. it was just potholes the size of your car, you know.
Oh, dude, yeah. I agree with you. We were kind of running short on time, and we hit that same stretch of highway, and we're like, dude, I don't know if we get one flat tire,
Yeah,
if we get
yeah,
something happens here, we might be on a time crunch here.
yeah,
And that
yeah.
you are totally right. That road was fucked up, to say the least, man.
It was the
Like,
yeah, it was like maybe 98% pothole. There's
dude,
2%
there was
road.
no it was like hard to like you were saying, side to side
Yeah, oh,
pothole.
shocker, absolutely fucking shocking.
You're just picking the best pothole.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, yeah. Did
No,
you
dude,
did
that
you
was
get any flat tires the whole rally?
we got one in Spain,
Oh yeah.
and then we got a big bubble in Russia, like a big bubble on the tire, and we just changed it for the spare.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
it.
yeah. I put brand new tires, well, cheap as I could get, brand new tires on the car before we left the UK, and we had not a single breakdown or
That's sweet,
flat
man.
tire or cracked rim or anything. And like I remember it was Uzbekistan or Kazakhstan, I think. No, it was Uzbek, and the roads were horrendous. And we were driving at night because we couldn't find somewhere to camp, and it was just pitch black, pothole after pothole after pothole after pothole, you know, and you would same thing, swerving all over the road, just trying to keep the momentum of your car without destroying your front shock absorbers. Like, yeah, it definitely destroyed our front shock absorbers, but not to the point where there was a failure of the strut or anything like that. You know, it was we were very lucky to not blow out something like that. Yeah.
Uh, what what was some of the so we you get into Uzbek. What was some of the craziest food you three ate on the rally? Like some of the best food and some of like the craziest food.
Um, I I don't really have much memory of like the cuisine. The only thing I remember eating was after that horrendous road in Turkmenistan, we sort of pulled over in this town um, just before the border, and there was like a restaurant, if you could call it a restaurant. It was like a house that someone had some chairs and was cooking food for people, and everyone got these lovely like Turkmenistan like soup dumplings, and I asked for chicken, which was not a good idea because the chicken came out and it was like fucking grey, like they'd boiled it for a week before they served it to me, and I was just like, man, if I don't get the shits from this, I'm doing pretty well. So, um, yeah, it was that was probably the most interesting thing that um, I ate. Other than that, it was pretty simple because I don't drink either. Um, because I don't drink either.
Yeah, and
I would just wash everything down with a Coke. So it, hold up, just 1 second. My neighbour's just dropping something off. Oh, thank you. Um, I didn't really eat anything super adventurous, but I made sure I washed everything down with a Coke. I found that helped me when I was in like Bali and stuff like that. Um, you know, Coca Cola's the great stomach reset, I suppose you would say. And just sort of drink that, and if there was something a bit nasty, it would sort of give you a bit of time, or it'd at least kill it before you got too crook. Yeah,
yeah, that carbonation, kind of washes everything away and
yeah.
can settle the stomach as well.
I remember at the gas crater, we had food in our rooftop box that we had bought in Azerbaijan. Granted, that was we were probably 3 or 4 days deep before we got to the gas crater by then, and like 40 to 43 degrees, most days. And we were eating like pot noodles and like salami, and this stick of salami had been in our rooftop box for 4 days. And I remember opening it up, and it was just like all the fat had melted inside it, and it was just like water. And then we opened it up, but we were like starving because we hadn't eaten since we were in Ashgabat. And and we ate this salami, and we all got a bit of a crock guts off this salami that had been in our rooftop box for 4 days. That was a bad idea to eat
Holy
that,
shit.
but it was that was probably the worst that we had. We had a couple of days. I think it was Uzbek in Uzbekistan where I was kind of like, oh, that salami's still running through me. Yeah,
Yeah, man. Like, dude, there were so many instances, especially in Central Asia, where, you know, you had to have some Imodium or something on you because, like, our stomachs are just not used to that, you know?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like it's just like uh an introduction of new bacteria to your gut, and it's like, fuck. Your gut's like, dude, come on.
What is this?
Like, what are we doing, dude? Are
Yeah,
you doing this?
yeah,
What the fuck?
yeah,
Um, no, man. So you go to Uzbekistan, you three go to Uzbekistan, and then Kazakhstan.
yeah. And then
Did you have any challenges or mechanical issues? I know you didn't have any flat tires, but did you have any mechanical issues?
I think it was after that road in Turkmenistan when we were crossing the Uzbek border. They had a service pit at the border, and what I did is I was like, oh, can we pull the car over the service pit and have a look? And he's like, yeah, no problem, the border guy. Um, so we pulled it over and looked underneath, and we had an oil leak we had a really good sump guard, like a 5 mil plate steel sump guard. So we were like, oh shit, we've got an oil leak here. It wasn't like bad, but it was wet. Like the skid pan was like covered in oil. So we went to the next big town that we're in, and we went to a garage and we got it fixed for like, I think it was like $40. And they just took the sump off and cleaned all the rust off it, because what had happened is that in the UK when they salt their roads, it had like eaten away at the pan. It had like surface rusted the pan, the sump, and it had just the vibrations and those intense potholes on that stretch had just absolutely just rattled the rust free, and just caused like a pinhole in the sump. So they just cleaned it and then did a bit of welding on it, and then put a new gasket on and slapped it back. That was our 10,000 k service then. So we got a new oil filter. Oh no, we left the oil filter on and we just changed the oil and just kept going after that. Yeah,
Nice, man. That's not bad,
yeah,
you know. But you were really uh diligent about taking care of the car, taking care of everything. So
yeah,
you three were all in, making
yeah,
sure everything was good all the time,
yeah.
and very cautious about driving and
Oh,
not just running every
yeah,
pothole and everything.
yeah, to a degree. Like, I made sure I was probably the most mechanically experienced person on the team, so I did a lot of like research into the Nissan Micra that we were getting. And I was like, okay, what are the common things that go wrong with these cars? So I actually got in touch with my local mechanic here who does all my like tires on my cars and my work van and stuff like that. And I said to him, "Hey, we've got this little car. The cam angle sensor and the crank angle sensor, I think, was two sensors that would typically fail on those motors, and then the car just wouldn't run. So what my local mechanic did is he just gave me his card for the local parts shop, and he said, go buy whatever you need, and if you don't use it, just bring it back home with you, and we'll just chuck it back on the account. You know, it was so we were really lucky to have that, and I'd done a lot of extensive research into like how the cars run, and like I've had lots of shitbox cars in my lifetime. You know, Honda Civics and stuff like that. So like I know a small car's not meant to have three guys in it for 25,000 Ks or whatever we did. So I like contacted a company down in Christchurch and said, hey, this is what we're doing. And they make custom springs for like delivery vehicles or four-wheel drives or race cars. And I was like, hey, look, this is what we're doing. This is roughly the amount of gear that we're going to have. So it's like, I think it was like 100 kgs over the actual weight limit of the car, sort of thing. These are our weights, our body weights, you know. So I calculated all that into getting a new pair of rear springs for the car because they were the easiest to swap out. And they made us a set of springs for free. And then when we flew to the UK, Air New Zealand actually gave us an extra couple of bags worth of baggage allowance for free. So we took a massive box over with us, and it had we had like those scooters. Remember those scooters that we had with the big rubber tires on them? We had like all that stuff packed in there as well, and like parts and stickers, all the decals for the car, like all our sponsor stickers and stuff like that. Yeah, it was really, yeah.
Yeah, I remember those scooters. We rode them at the port.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's cool, man. Like you had everything dialed. Uh, we kind of were the opposite. We didn't have that much because we stored the car in England. We didn't have the car physically until we got to London, and we only had so much time to prepare it, like
Yeah.
maybe 5 days, something like that. And we didn't know what was going on, and but for all in all, for the amount of kilometers we did, it was fine, you know. I mean, like for
Mm.
what we did, like what happened to it, like fine, you know. It's an $800 car, you know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
at some point you got to be like, all right, it's an $800 car. Like, what do you expect out of this thing?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
It's a tiny shit box, and we're doing something it shouldn't be doing. Yeah.
no, entirely, and that's what the rally is about. That's what the adventure's about. It's just putting you in a situation where you could potentially break down and some stuff could go wrong,
Yeah.
and you got to figure out how to get out of it and
Yeah.
how to push forward.
Yeah. My son's just got up, so I'm gonna try and maybe move somewhere else. Just so, oh, my wife's saying no. I'll stay here.
Oh yeah,
He's
it's
just
yeah,
woken up.
whatever you got to do, man.
No, he's good. I'm good here. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So you were in Uzbek, and then you go to Kazakhstan, and then you finished. Did you go through Russia and then to Mongolia, right? And then to Ulan
Yeah.
Ude.
Russia, Mongolia, and then back into Russia again. Yeah, and Mongolia was cool. Like, I mean, everything was cool. Like, I don't think I have a bad word to say about any of the countries that we went to. Like, everything was like an experience. Everything was like a awesome cultural experience. It was just yeah, it was something that I feel money can't buy, even though you paid money to do it. How we did it felt like it was like something that no one else can experience, but you can. Um, I've thought about it multiple times about just going over again and doing it again on my own accord, getting a little van, something small, and doing it with my wife and child. But having a kid now is sort of throws a spanner in the works. But like maybe when he's 18 or 20, we go over and dad and mum come over and we do it all together. We met teams from the UK that were doing that, and their son-in-law and their daughter were in another Fiat Panda, and they were in a little two-door Fiat Panda, mum and dad, and they were just convoying. We met them in Russia, and they were just convoying around together, doing the rally together. It's completely doable. I'd love to do it again.
Yeah, with your family, that's a different dynamic, man.
Yeah, yeah.
So you get the best of both worlds. You get to do it with your family and your friends, you know?
Mm,
Like,
mm.
and it's so doable in the future. Like, um, it's so accessible and people don't even realize it. They're like, well, I got a family. I can't do stuff like that. And it's so not true because like having an adventure and having a bonding experience with your family like that is even more special, right?
Even if you just did half of it, like even if you just flew into Turkey and like bought a car or something and then just drove it across country and went and visited a whole heap of places, you know, um, you don't necessarily have to go to 30 countries or whatever we did. It's like you can you can get that same adventure. Like go fly to England, buy a shitbox car like we did, and do Europe. Like it's completely accessible, um, and I think it's great. I mean, I was 30 when I did it, which is probably old on the scale of um, people that do the Mongol Rally. A lot of people that we met were in their 20s, fresh out of university or fresh out of high school. Um, but like, yeah, it, it was so cool. It was so accessible. It was just an eye-opening experience. I think it's a very valuable life experience for me. And I mean, you might not think that, oh, what are you going to use it in your day-to-day life? But like I'm a tradie, so I'm a builder. So like you'll be working at someone's house and they'll be like, oh, my daughter's over in Turkey at the moment or somewhere. And I'm like, oh, I've been there. That was so awesome, and you sort of share stories. And then they're like, oh, someone I met on a job site and he was like older in his like 60s or 70s and he was like, oh yeah, I hitchhiked across the world when I was 20. And he had all these like very similar stories to what we had, you know from our trip, but we were in cars and he was just hitchhiking. you know so crazy.
Dude, yeah. Yeah, like you can connect with people like that through travel.
Mm,
And that's the thing. And I'm totally with you, man. It was a grand experience and it was probably one of the most pivotal and best experiences of my life. Like I traveled before that a little bit
yeah,
internationally. Nothing like that. That was insane, like a cross continent overland trip
yeah,
in a car. Like and then just meeting the people, man. Like you said, like all of these countries, like in Central Asia, they were so hospitable, man. Like they're
oh
just
yeah,
happy to see you, man. Like I can't tell you how many times we just got approached with a watermelon just
yeah,
for
yeah,
being
yeah,
there.
yeah. You just get given like, and like um people just like come to my house and they just will take you in, house you for the night, feed you, repair your car, like, and then you go to pay them the next day and they're like, no, 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 we don't want anything. I think it was a lot of those. like once we started getting to Turkey, a lot of the Muslim countries, and you get spun this like narrative of like the Muslim culture and in the Western world, and then you go over there, and they're probably the most hospitable people that I've ever met in my life. You know, like where
I
was it?
agree with
Was
that.
it? I
I
think
agree
it
with
was
that.
Kazakhstan. We were driving on the highway in Kazakhstan, and we were driving along, and this truck pulled up beside us, massive truck, and it had a big like freezer box on the back of it. And these young guys were waving at us, telling us to pull over. So we pulled over, and I said to the boys, I was like, just keep the car running because I don't want to get like carjacked or something. Like, I don't know. We'd only just got into the country, and we stopped, and they got out and they opened the side of this truck, and it was a truck carrying ice cream, and they just got all these ice creams out and just were like, here, ice creams, ice creams, and they gave us ice creams because we were from a different country, and they're like, where are you from? And we're like, oh, New Zealand. And we had a map on the side of our car, and we point to New Zealand, and it's way at the bottom of the world, and they're just fucking dumbfounded because you know you're here. Why would you be in my country? Why would you be in Kazakhstan? Why? They just want to know why you come here when you're from the bottom of the earth. It was just like it was like so foreign for them that someone would from so far away, so isolated, would come and be in their country. But they were just so hospitable. They just like ice creams, just take them, and they were like, I love Kazakhstan ice creams. They're really good ice creams too. So it was a bonus.
That's awesome, man. Those are the experiences that you get in travel that you really can't you really can't match, man. And it's just genuine and like they're just genuinely happy that you're coming to their country and
Yeah,
really curious about you. Like really curious. What are you doing? You got all these stickers on your car. You're driving. Like, what are you doing? Who are you? Like,
yeah,
that's so. It was so fun. Just being able to spark some curiosity and hopefully inspire some people and be like, whoa, these guys are doing this. Like,
why
and
can't I do it?
obviously I know like, well,
You
yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah. Why can't I do it? And that's what I want to share on the podcast too is just like for the listeners is just like get out there and do it. Get out there and just like go after it. Like
Yeah,
you said you were 30. I was 28 when I did the rally.
yeah,
So it's definitely doable. There are a lot of obstacles and then people that they have in life and stuff. But man, the world is just so much more fun than the media predicts or the media says and
yeah,
and and tells you
yeah,
and I don't know, man. I just love that. Like you get out there and you just meet so many cool people. It's so fascinating just to view people's culture from the outside and be able to coexist with that.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's fucking awesome. Yeah, like yeah, as you're saying, like go do it. Put a goal in place and put aside $20 a week, out of your pay, and save for 3 years or whatever, and then buy tickets to go over and do it. And whether you do it through the adventurist or whether you do it on your own accord, um, like I'm a very much go with the flow kind of person. Um, but like it was just invaluable. Like what we did, it's just yeah, it's just something that not a lot of people that I know have, and I really value that.
Absolutely, man. Like I think the experience changed my life for the better
Mm,
and pushed me to new points, and as far as going out and traveling and it's given me a different insight into the world too. Like into people into countries I had no idea about. Like I had
Mm.
no idea about. Like I didn't study about Turkmenistan or Uzbekistan or anything like that.
Yeah,
But
neither.
like
Yeah.
prior to planning for the rally, right?
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know
But
anything about it. Yeah. Yeah.
it was just a pleasant surprise going through there and like going through the Great Silk Road, those trading towns and
Yeah.
Khiva, Bukhara, Samarkand, and Uzbekistan. We ended up meeting back up briefly in one of those cities. I remember it was either I think it was Samarkand or something like that.
Mm.
We met up with y'all and we had lunch or something. We had lunch. I don't know,
Did we go to the
but
bank? Was it Uzbekistan and we went to the bank together?
yeah, I we had lunch together somewhere. I don't
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah.
We all sat down and then
So I remember in Uzbekistan
yeah.
you couldn't use your EFTPOS card or your debit card, credit card, whatever, but you could go to the bank and get Uzbek dollars out, and then you could use that as a foreigner. Um, yeah,
Yeah, and with the inflation it was like a ton of bills, right?
yeah,
For Uzbekistan in
yeah,
particular.
yeah,
Um no, that was great, man, and and I'm glad we both made it to the end there. We both finished their rally, both teams.
yeah. It was a cool achievement. It was like it was kind of sad because it was like, oh, it's sort of over, but on the same front, it was like, man, I've been away from my wife for 3 months. I kind of wanted to get back home. Like I was getting pretty over being sitting in a car and like living out of a suitcase by then. So I was ready to come home when I come home. Yeah. And we didn't go as direct on the way home because flying out of Ulan Ude, we sort of had to go Ulan Ude to Beijing, and then Beijing to the Philippines, and then Philippines to um, Sydney, and then Sydney to Auckland, New Zealand, and then Auckland to Nelson. And it was like, I think it was like 3 or 4 days of just non-stop, like on airplanes, sleeping in airports. I mean, I remember in the Philippines, we flew into the Philippines. It was pitch black. You couldn't see anything. I think it was like 12 at night. And we flew in, and the other boys were just knackered. So they went and just found a spot in the airport and just sort of made camp and went to sleep. And I went and paid $20 and got a 2 hour long massage and a shower in the time that so I just fell asleep on a massage table and then got up and had a shower, and they had been sleeping on cold tiles for 2 hours or something like that. So yeah, it was sort of like it was a crazy trip back, man. Like it was just, and I got home and I was just like out of body experience. I was just so tired, and like all of our family was there waiting for us, which I wasn't expecting. I was expecting my wife to come pick me up and then just sort of toddle off home and go to bed. But everyone was there, like sponsors were there and stuff like that. And it was just like super overwhelming, but it was like such a cool experience and a good way to bookend the whole trip.
Yeah, like that's an incredible journey just like back home and
Mm.
and dealing with like doing that and you had that whole experience and you got to share it with all these people and your sponsors and everyone hopefully gained a little bit off of like it's like wow they literally drove
Across the
a
world.
good portion of the earth
Yeah.
like
Well, how
a good chunk.
because Leo was already in the UK when me and Carl flew from New Zealand over, and when me and Carl booked our flights, um, I was like, "Let's go around the world, Carl. Like, we have to go around the world." So we actually flew into LA from Auckland to LA, and then LA to England, Um, so we literally did a circumnavigation of the world, which was really cool. That's a cool thing to say. Like, how many people can say, "Hey, I've driven like halfway around the world and and flown the rest of it." I've fully been around the world.
I mean, that's an experience that uh few get to do, and
Yeah,
get to go out and see. I mean, just like and it was just like the culture shock left and right
yeah,
was was crazy because you're going into different cultures constantly, right?
yeah. Oh, yeah. You spend like a couple of days in some areas. Like I think Georgia, we were in there for like a day, and it was like cross the border at night time, then camp on the roadside somewhere, and then get up and like driving through these little towns to the next town to get um to go to the embassy, the Azerbaijan embassy, and get a visa to go across into Azerbaijan. And it was like, yeah, it was. Then you're next thing you know, and you're in Azerbaijan, and then you're in Turkmenistan 3 days later, and then you know Uzbek and Kazakhstan, and it was just it was so different, but all yet very similar at the same time. That whole Central Asia was very similar in like culture, like certain things were very similar. Yeah,
100%, man. And what would you tell anyone preparing for or wanting to prepare for something like this? How would you go about it? Like, obviously, the adventurers are like minimalists, want to like prepare as a little as possible so you have maximum adventure. That's kind of like the theme.
yeah,
But what would you say to someone wanting to do a rally like this? What would you do?
do it, do it. I've so many people that I work with. I work with a few young guys. One guy in particular, and he's real into cars and like building drift cars and stuff like that. And he's like, oh, he was like sort of talking to me. He wants to travel, and I was like, bro, you should go do the rally. Go do it, even if he does it by himself. Like it's it's you have to do it. Like if you're thinking of doing something like that, do it. Just nut up and do it. Um, get a few people together, jump in a car and do it. Um, it's worth every penny. Yeah,
Yeah,
uh,
that's the thing. Like, and it's very simple advice, but yet, at the same time, it's all you need because you just need to like plan. And there's a lot of resources out there too, as far as like finding rally teammates. There's forums for finding teammates that want to do the
yeah,
same thing, so you can split the cost literally with a couple of people that you meet online, and I'll help any listeners out there, and I'll provide the links below of like the adventurous and some forums to finding teammates on like Facebook groups and stuff like that. There's stuff out there for you, and it's just like save up, and you can have these resources, you know.
yeah. Even if you couldn't afford to do it through the adventurous, if you join those forums and sort of get your head around the dynamics of planning for it, get yourself planned, and then plan to do the same trip when the adventurers do it, and you could literally tee in with them, like um because it's all on like Facebook. Like we were part of like Facebook groups and stuff like that, and like people always asking questions about who's going to Junktown tonight, blah blah blah, who's going to be here, and like you don't necessarily have. And I don't think they would like kick up a stink. Like if someone was doing the rally and someone else who wasn't doing the rally was like, "Oh, hey, we're doing the same trip, but we're just not with the adventurers," you'd be like, "Oh, sweet man!" Like they just become part of your family. It's like you guys and the Irish guys that we met, and like all these people that we bumped into, and we didn't even care if they were with the rally or not. Like if they were doing the same thing as us, me, like we can help each other out. We can sort of, it's totally doable. Like, don't be afraid because you've got no mate um, doing it. Like, if you can afford to buy a car and do the journey, like there'll be someone that is in a team and their car gets crashed and they want to go to the end and they jump in with you. You've got teammates then, you know. Um, you've you sort of you can all work together and like yeah, there were a few cars that didn't make it. So like there was teammates that either flew back to the UK or wherever they come from, you know. So there's always people out there that were like looking for extra teammates. So if you did it by yourself, you're not going to be by yourself. You'll be with people all the time. Yeah,
Yeah, entirely. That we met a team in Osh, Kyrgyzstan,
yeah,
that they didn't want to pay for like the Mongol Rally's fee or whatever and join
yeah,
the starting point and launching. They just did the rally essentially uh like the rally, like the Mongol Rally
yeah,
without the adventurous, they just did it,
yeah.
And they had the same things. They had like it was still cool. Like they had I think it was an English team and they just had
Same
they had a ball. They had a ball. Like
yeah,
they
the
drove
same
across the world the
experiences.
same way.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're all doing that. So like you just go. Yeah, yeah,
Nah, dude, it was so cool, man. It was so awesome and um I wouldn't trade it for the world, man.
no, hell
It was
no.
so, it was so cool. Like totally worth it like you said. Anyone out there listening, just do it. Like just save up. For reference, it took me a year.
Yeah,
Me and my two teammates a year to save up.
yeah,
And that was me working two jobs. I was
yeah,
working I was working at that time, dude, I was delivering beer
yeah,
in the morning, like delivering beer to places in Bozeman, Montana, and then working at a restaurant from 4 to midnight.
yeah,
And I did that for almost 5 days a week for almost a year
yeah.
to save up for that.
That's hard work. Eh? I was fortunate because I was a house painter working for my father. So I was, I mean, I was on probably like $32 an hour, which is what pretty much half that for American dollars. Um, but I had like a work vehicle and my overheads weren't very high. So yeah, I probably spent about a year as well saving. Um, but then I did a lot of sponsor stuff. So we sent out a lot of like sponsor, like a letter for sponsorship, and had like different tiers of like social media, like exposure for different tiers of money, sort of thing, and it sort of helped pay for our fuel with one whole sponsor. They were just like, I want to pay for the fuel, like that's all they wanted to do. So that was like huge, but like you'd be surprised at the people that want to help you because the way the adventurers do it is you have to raise money for a charity. So we did New Zealand Prostate Cancer Foundation, um, and we actually ended up raising like I think it was like 5 grand for them. Um, but like they were stoked with that, and like because you've got a charity behind you, you're sort of doing it for a cause. It meant that people were more willing to like donate stuff like the springs that I got made in Christchurch for the back of the car. They were free and they shipped them for free. And then Air New Zealand gave us free baggage. That would have been hundreds of dollars. Like we had a box just absolutely packed full of stuff. It was bloody heavy. Um, people just will just give you stuff. Yeah, it's crazy how generous people are when it comes to like doing something for a charity.
100%. And I think your team was a lot more organized in the fact of getting sponsors and stuff. And it's a bit different. I think the Kiwi culture is a lot more tight knit than the U.S. culture in that aspect because it was really tough for us to get
Yeah.
sponsors because we're a country that's like, oh, what are you doing? What are you doing for us? Like, what are you?
Yeah. What are
It's
you gonna
not
do
like
for us? Yeah.
and it's so like, oh, we don't know you like that, and I think Kiwis are a bit more tight knit for sure, and it's got to be that way. It's a much smaller country. It's like you all look out for each other in that aspect, and you're giving back to charity too. We had our charity, um, but you know, uh, the only we did have one sponsor at Sandmaster Park.
Mm.
Shout out Sandmaster Park. They made us a custom sandboard so we could sandboard dunes all across the
Oh,
world.
that's
That was
right. Yeah, I remember that.
super cool.
Yeah.
That was super cool.
Yeah.
That guy's out of Oregon right there, and he really he really does a good job of uh, introducing sandboarding to the world and building features and stuff like that for people to have a good time
Yeah.
um, on sand dunes. So that's really cool. But like I think you all did a really great job of getting sponsors and everything like that, and you crushed that. Like free fuel, like come on, like that's amazing. Like
Oh,
so
huge
those
expenses.
opportunities
Yeah.
are out there.
Yeah.
You know, I think we contacted so many. I think we contacted hundreds of companies.
Yeah.
Um, but Team Yellowstoners, I guess the name kind of
Yeah.
threw them off a little bit.
That's something you have to like take into account when you're doing stuff like that. Is like you could have something that's like overtly sexual or something like that, but people aren't going to sponsor you um, because they want to be able to link their brand to that thing. Um,
Totally, totally.
and yeah, yeah, Yellowstoners, yeah, might not be in the wheelhouse of a lot of people's uh, branding schedule.
No, no, and I totally get that, and that's
Mm,
perfectly fine, and I still wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't trade the name because we us three we met in Yellowstone, and it
yeah,
was just kind of and um we're not exactly like crazy stoners or something,
yeah,
but
yeah,
it was just a funny name,
yeah,
like
yeah, for sure.
uh that was it was just a good time, man. Honestly, I wouldn't, like we still got a sandboard out of it. It was
Yeah,
super cool. Uh but yeah, go so after the post rally, you go back to New Zealand. Uh so you had a baby boy in 2023, right? Last
yeah,
year?
yeah. So he's coming up to next year in February. Um, yeah, just yeah, I sort of come back home and then we sort of just got stuck into um, being like having a family and stuff like that. So like I bought a house and sort of we sort of moved that way and started having like trying to have a kid. And now we've got Sonny, who's an absolute beast of a little boy. That he's just fucking light of my world at the moment. Um, it's just you probably hear him in the background now. He's just woken up from a nap, but he's yeah, and it's fantastic. He's my little man. Like we go out hiking. We go out mountain biking almost every night if we can, depending on how late I am home from work. We go for a walk down the river that's just around the corner from home, like every night, pretty much. Um, he just loves being outside. He's just like me. He can't fucking sit still. I've always got to be doing something, whether it's going for a bike ride or climbing a hill somewhere, just so I can say, hey, I've climbed that hill. You know, um, he just loves it. Just absolutely fucking froths it. Or going for a run. Like I've got this little thing called a uni rider made by a company called Mountain Buggy. It's just like a single wheel with a seat on it and a handle, and it has a T handle coming out the back of it. And I take him running on that. I just put his little helmet on and we just go running. We'll go run like 8, 10K, you know, we'll just hiss around and then like have my little hip belt on with snacks in it. It's just like, yeah, having a little dude like that, he's always like keen for an adventure, and that's what I'm all about. I'm about like being outside. Like I was never really one to play PlayStation or, you know, watch movies and stuff like that. I always wanted to be out doing something or tinkering or, you know, pulling apart a motor or fixing my bike or building jumps or, you know, riding my mountain bike. And, you know, he's just the firm believer in mirror what you want your children to be like. So I just do whatever he enjoys, you know, we enjoy together. You know, it's just fucking awesome. It's pretty fucking cool. Yeah.
That's awesome, man, and I'm so glad you have that family, and uh, you're you're raising your son right outdoors, and he's gonna be a sick mountain biker.
Oh
I can
yeah.
I already know it, dude.
Yeah, we did our first mountain bike race the other day. There's a local series once a year called the Super D, and it's just sort of to get like everyone out on the trails and race. So you get a timing chip, and it's all properly timed. Um, and they just segment off like some of the tracks. They'll just have one track segmented off, and you finish work. I come home, I chuck all his gear on, put his helmet on, and we just shoot up. I mean, I've got an e-bike, so it's a lot easier for me to carry him because he's like almost 18 kgs now. But he just jumps on the bike and we go up there, get our timing chip, pay our $10 or whatever it is, and shoot up the hill and through the timing gate, and we just cruise. Like we'd probably go, don't tell mum, but we'd probably go a little bit faster than like your average Joe going down, but we're not like doing jumps or anything, you know, we're just cruising down, and he's on a, a seat. I don't know if you might have them in America, they're called a shotgun seat. It's sort of is just back, so they sit in front of you and they hold
Yeah.
on to a little set of handlebars in front of you. It's a New Zealand invented product, um, and it's just awesome. Like he's so dialed when it comes, like, because I raced for a wee bit, like mountain bikes, downhill mountain bike racing, just locally, and like we go out and there's a track and it's called Crazy Horse, and it's like probably 2 meter high, not maybe 1.5 meter high berms, like big banked corners. And we'll go down that and we'll be horizontal with the ground going around these corners, like absolutely flying. And he's doing all the things that I'm doing because we ride it so much. He's looking out of the corner when we're exiting, like he's yeah, he's gonna have that mountain biking as just a second nature to him. It's gonna be right there, ready to go when he's ready to ride. Yeah,
That's insane, man. You have to send me a picture of this bike, like
yeah, for
or
sure.
what the caption, because I have never seen one before.
Oh, so good, so good, amazing, amazing product. Yeah, shotgun seat. It's called Kids Ride Shotgun. Um, yeah, it's a fantastic product, especially for like just getting them out. Like sometimes we'll just go around the block. We'll just jump on the bike and go down to the marina or ride down the river or something. And it's just like he just loves it. Great. Mm.
Yeah, and you're just sharing your passion, and it's good because like kids need to be outdoors more because nowadays technology is just keeping them indoors,
Yeah,
and if they don't have that role model and that person pushing them, um, a lot of kids are going to gravitate towards that or whatever's more comfortable,
Yeah,
if they don't,
yeah.
unless they're just inherently just want to be outside, but
Mm,
if they see everyone else inside on their computers, phones, what have you,
yeah,
they're gonna do the same, right?
yeah. Like we don't have a TV. I was a graphic designer for 3 years, so I just have a big iMac computer, and like we might watch a movie on that sort of thing every now and then. That's not very often, but like we don't have an iPad. Like my wife and I both have iPhones, but like we're not a we are, but we're not a technologically heavy family. Like I know how to use my computer and use my phone and all that sort of stuff, but it's not like a huge thing in our family. Like some people, the kid's got a Nintendo Switch, the kid's got a PlayStation, they've got an iPad and stuff like that. We just don't have any of that stuff. Not because we can't afford it, but because I just don't think it's worthwhile in the long run for him. Like my brother grew up playing PlayStation and stuff like that. He was an indoors kid. I was outside in the creek at the back of the house playing with my Action Men or GI Joe. In the creek. I was hitting lemons off the lemon tree with a tennis racket. Um, I was just outdoors all the time. Just doing my own thing, exploring.
Right, and I think that's the best way to be, but also it's good to have some balance too.
Yeah,
You need that little chill time.
yeah.
Life is about balance
Hmm.
in general.
Yeah, for sure.
Uh, but I definitely respect that decision as well. Like uh, there's definitely a problem with phones, and I catch myself even looking at my phone too much sometimes, and I'm like, I need to stop doing that and do something else. But it's hard when you have some downtime, and like you can't do anything else. You might be um, like on a break at work or
Yeah,
what have you,
yeah,
uh, and you're not gonna go outside. It's like, you know, but at the same time, New Zealand is great for outdoors, man. Like New Zealand is just like I haven't been there yet. I'm plan on coming in 2026. I plan on making a trip to New Zealand.
yeah, sweet. Well, there's a bed in New
And
Zealand for you. There's a bed in Nelson for you, at least.
oh, I'm definitely coming to Nelson and seeing you and Carl. Does Leo is everyone still around there?
So Leo, I think, is in the UK. So Carl and Leo were good friends from primary school, and I know Carl through. I went to college with him, but I know him through my wife. His wife is my one of my wife's best friends from college. So um, they sort of that's how I sort of fit in. That's how I sort of fit into the Mongol Rally and stuff like that. Was they mentioned it? I mentioned that I wanted to do the Moroccan monkey bikes, so riding the little pocket monkey motorbikes across Morocco. And Carl said to me, "Oh, we're thinking of doing this Mongol Rally. We need another person. What do you think?" And I was like, "Oh, give me a little bit. I'll have a look into it and I'll think about it." And I come home and a week later, I rang him up and I was like, "Yeah, man, let's go. Let's book tickets."
That's an awesome sequence of events, man.
Yeah,
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 the monkey run. The monkey run is definitely a cool adventure from the adventurous as well.
mm, yeah,
And they have a ton of adventures, but you know, we got to do one of the bigger ones for sure. Um, so New Zealand, man. So the South Island of New Zealand, you've explored a lot. So for someone coming to New Zealand from the U.S. or some other country, what would you recommend as like a 2 week itinerary for them? What would you kind of see as like a sightseeing, like some great vistas, some outdoor activities, some hiking, what have you?
I haven't done a lot of traveling up north, so I can't say so much about up north. Like, um, just even if you fly into Christchurch or Wellington or whatever, get a rental car and just drive, you know. Queenstown's a must. The west coast of the South Island is a must. Um, um, the Southern Alps, like the centre of the South Island, is a really cool spot. I mean, like you can put like there's lakes. There's what's called Nelson Lakes, about an hour away from where I live in Nelson. You could drive down there, get out of your car, walk for 2 hours, if that, and you're at a hut on up like over 1,000 meters above sea level in the tussocks on the bushline in the middle of nowhere. Like, you can do so much in such a little space. There are greater walks, like you could walk the whole of New Zealand if you really wanted to. We've got a trail called the Te Awa, oh, I can't remember what it's called, but it's the entire length of New Zealand, and people do that all the time. That goes and runs all the back hills of Nelson, all the way through down the Southern Alps. Fantastic thing to do, but like if I was coming to New Zealand, granted, like you know someone, Ryan. So when you come here, I'm going to be like, you need to go to this beach, that beach. I'll probably take a week off and show you around, and just we'll go cruise, you know, and I'll show you all the like hidden gems that the locals know about, but might be a little bit more difficult to find as a tourist. But like you can just stumble across shit, man. Like you can just be driving along, going down to Kaikoura, and you go down there and you pull over on the side of the road. There's like seal colonies down there, and you can like walk across the rocks, and it's just like you're not going to be upset if you come here and you don't know what to do, because there's always, like, even the journey to get to where you want to go is going to be a sightseeing adventure in itself, you know. There's so
Yeah,
much.
totally.
Yeah.
No, and I appreciate, like, I can't wait to come and see you and be able to uh, go to some of these spots that you know of, and I'm sure the listeners will appreciate the advice as well. Like the South Island, what I hear from most people, the South Island is the most beautiful.
Um,
Any who's been, like any
yeah.
American that has been, people from the U.S.
A lot of
Say that the
the Lord of the
South
Rings
Island.
was filmed in South Island, so that's where that sort of those big mountain vistas and all the rocky outcrops and the big braided rivers and stuff like that. That's where that all comes from. I mean, yeah, it's beautiful to look at and take a photo, but if you want adventure, it's only like literally you could stop at a braided river and take a photo and then get your hiking bag out of the back of the car, and you could be at a hut within 2 hours, you know, off the side of the fucking road. Like there's huts in places where you'd never think there'd be huts, you know, and I think you might have to pay for them as a tourist, but for locals, you just sort of you get a pass and you just go up and you stay in the huts. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just amazing beauty, amazing nature in New Zealand, and I think that's what it's known for, man.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, for sure.
it's
Clean.
insane, like the amount. What's that?
It's clean. It's like that's one thing I noticed when we're overseas is that, like, even Europe, man, like I was wearing jandals or thongs, or I don't know what else you would call them. Most of the time when I was over in Europe and the rest of the trip, and I just noticed my feet got a lot dirtier in those countries, and like Europe, all through Europe and stuff. Like But in New Zealand, like I could wear jandals all day. I could climb a fucking mountain in jandals, and I get home, my feet wouldn't be as black as they were when I was in Europe or when I was in like Kazakhstan or something like that. And there's like, I mean, I uphold this for myself as like you see rubbish, you pick it up and you put it in the bin. But whereas some of those like a lot of those countries that we visited, it was just like I remember I think it might have been Turkmenistan. We pulled into a town and these kids were following our car, and I went to the shop and I bought ice creams for them all. I gave them ice creams, and this kid unwrapped the ice cream right in front of me and pulled the ice cream out, and then just let the wrapper go.
Yeah, I mean, that's just like we're going back to what we were saying earlier. It's the people that's the product of their environment.
Yeah,
Like uh,
yeah,
they see their parents do it. It's just what they're taught and what they know, man. And oh, that's fine. Litter on the ground. That's cool.
yeah. And I was
They don't
like,
think of it like we do. They don't think about it like we do. Like, oh no, this needs to go in the
no,
correct place
yeah,
to be disposed of properly.
yeah. And that's what one thing I love about New Zealand is that like you go somewhere, like even I went walking with my son the other day. So where I live is like a couple of 100 meters away from a sightseeing spot called the Centre of New Zealand, and it's so called the geological centre of New Zealand, which happens to be on top of a hill, which I don't think is correct, but it's like a sightseeing spot, and we go up there quite a bit. A lot of tourists when they come into town, they'll because it's like literally 5 minutes from town. Like you can walk like 3 blocks from town, and you're at this foot of this hill that you can walk up, and it's got a monument at the top and stuff. I walked up there with my son the other day, and I was walking down, and I was like, "Oh, there's someone who dropped a wrapper of something," and I picked it up. I said, "Oh, we're going to go put this in the bin." Like he's not even two yet. And then we're walking along and he sees some rubbish and he picks it up. And then I see some more rubbish and I pick that up like a can or something. And by the time we got to the bottom, we had like a few items of rubbish and we popped it in the bin. And then like some of those other countries that were overseas, it was just like there's just fucking rubbish everywhere. Whereas New Zealand, it's a lot cleaner. Um, uh, at least I know when I was growing up as a kid in primary school, it was be a tidy Kiwi was the sort of memo. Um, it's like we were brought up to be tidy and be a tidy Kiwi, as to say, was the motto. So like yeah, I think installing that into the next generation is key. You know, people are buying properties in New Zealand that aren't New Zealanders because it's like just it's like almost untouched, but it's like a Western, like it's not a third world country, like it's beautiful. Um, but there's something about New Zealand, it's something different.
100%, man. And it's passing that good culture onto that and those good habits onto the next generation that's important because I know where I'm from in the US, Alabama in the South. Uh, when I grew up, littering was a lot of people did litter and throw stuff out the window and
Yeah,
stuff. And I was always like, wow, okay. Like I thought that was a little weird, but at the same time, uh, people in my family did it, so I thought it was okay. And then it took me going out west to like Yellowstone National Park and these when I started living out west in Montana and Utah, it really changed my outlook on that. And I'm like, okay, like, you know, before that, I wasn't throwing trash out, but like it changed it changed my perspective on how people treat the environment
yeah,
different in parts of the country.
yeah, for sure.
Obviously, the US is so massive, people are a lot different, and there's a lot different cultures, between, in between the country, you know, and then the north, south, Midwest, West Coast, all of that.
Yeah.
But speaking of culture, what about the haka, like the dance, like the tradition? Have you participated in one of these?
Well, it's sort of like, I mean, I've got no Maori genetics in my family. I'm very much a Scottish and um, English like lineage of family, but like we learn all that stuff at school. Yeah, we participate in it. Like I think it's a really valuable thing to learn about the indigenous culture of a country. Um, it's a sore point for a lot of people. A lot of people don't think it's important, but like my my wife's a teacher, so we we speak te reo Māori like not not fluently, but like a river is called an awa. So whenever we walk down to the river with Sonny, he will say awa, awa, awa. Like, yeah, we're at the river. Yeah, that's correct. You know, um, he I think incorporating that and acknowledging that Indigenous people is a very important thing to do. The people that were here before us is, you know, is is pretty special. Like, just learn a little bit about it, you know. Just, but yeah, the haka is a huge thing for us. It's like a war. It's not. It's it's a war dance sort of thing, or like a greeting, or they used to do it. From what I understand, they used to do it. So when the English were coming onto the land, you know, they would sort of welcome them on, and the males would all do a haka, and it was sort of like a we like you're here on our land sort of thing, you know, like a war cry, but not a war cry, if you get what I mean. Sort of like don't fuck with us, sort of thing. So and now it's sort of synonymous with our rugby team, and a lot of our sports teams will do it as sort of like a challenge to the opposition team. Like we're fucking warriors, and we're here to we're here to kick your ass in hockey or rugby, or you know, whatever. You know, we're just a little old country, but hey, we'll fucking run over you if you give us the chance. You know.
Yeah, it's an intimidation factor for sure, and it's a part of the culture that wasn't the a part of the indigenous culture, and it's important to have that be passed on and not let stuff pass by like that.
Yeah.
That's important to keep, and it's tradition, right?
Mm. Yeah, and like even if you're not Maori, or if you moved over here from the US, and like if you went down and you're like, hey, I wanna learn the culture, like they'd just welcome you, you know. It's like, why not share what you have? Yeah, it's pretty special thing to have.
I agree, man. Any future trips coming up for you? I know you like Indonesia. I know you like Bali.
Yeah,
Uh, do you have anything coming up?
I've been to Bali twice. Both of them for weddings, and it was when my wife was studying at university, so she couldn't come. So I've done two trips over there and really enjoyed it. So I've convinced her to, well, our 10-year wedding anniversary is coming up next year in November. So I've convinced her we're gonna save our pennies and scrimp and save, and go over there and do just a week long trip with me, my wife, and Sunny, and we're gonna go over there. I've got a driver that I used when I was in Bali, and he's all keen to get us back in, and I've just had friends over in Bali as well, and they used him as well, and um, yeah, we're planning on that. That's our next trip, but that won't be until next November. It's sort of the way the world's been after we did our sort of trip. It's sort of shit the bed for anything like travel wise, really. Just in New Zealand, it's fairly difficult to get out, if you get what I mean, because we're so isolated. It's like even to go to Australia, you're looking at standard fares would be like $800 return for two people, sort of thing. It's just, yeah, when you've got a mortgage and a kid, it's sort of, yeah, you sort of weigh up what you're going to be purchasing, you know. Whereas when I did the rally, we didn't have a kid. We were just like, my wife was just like, go do it. You need to go do it. So yeah, yeah, the Bali trip will be the next thing. That'll be awesome. I'm looking forward to showing and sharing the experience of Bali and the culture with her. I think Bali gets a fucking bad rap for all the like things that have happened in the past, but like shit happens all the time. Like bad things happen all the time. You can't like judge a whole country on something that happened years and years ago because of one extreme person. You know, you kind of got to go over there and experience it for yourself. It's like I remember when we were traveling on the rally, people were like, "Oh, you can't go here. It's so bad. It's so bad." And then you'd go to these countries, and you're like, "What the fuck was everyone talking about?" Like it was just all media hype bullshit about these countries, and like you get there, and they're just like the most lovely people, generous, kind. You know, didn't feel unsafe at all. Like it's yeah, you've got to watch that. The old media loves to sort of spin a narrative about places, and you've just kind of got to go, well, hey, let's experience it for ourselves, you know?
Yeah, and it's just and it's based on the fact that they're just trying to get views, like and it's nothing like they're not thinking about it as malicious, but they're just like, "Oh, this guy or something happened over there. Let's highlight that so we can get viewers off of it." They're not like,
Yeah,
"Oh, well," you know what I'm saying? It's just a money grab, and
yeah.
it's just the bottom dollar, bottom line.
Pumping it up so that they've got something for people to watch instead of just focusing on good stuff. Like, you know, yeah.
Oh, they're hardly gonna focus on good stuff. Well, here in the US, I could say that. It's just and uh negative sales, man. Negative fear sales and it gets people uh it gets more viewers and it just, it just boosts ratings for them and at the end of the day that's just what they want.
Yeah. Makes people not want to travel to places, and then like it's all like fear and manipulation. But like if you just sort of blow caution to the like, I'm not saying go into a fucking war torn country and walk around in a singlet and shorts and jandals and you know think that you're King Dick. You know, you go over there, respect the culture, meet the people, talk to the people, like be a part of that country while you're there, and you'll be brought into people's houses, you'll be fed, you'll be looked after. I still, when we're having that trouble getting across the border in Turkey, the hotel we were staying at, um, the owner of the hotel was ringing his lawyer to try and get them to help us get across the border. They didn't have to do that. You know, I'm still in touch with
Oh.
those. I'm still in touch with the owner's son because he spoke really good English. He'd studied in California for like 3 years or something like that. So um, I still message him every now and then. He messages me, "How's it going, brother?" You know, and like he's like, "Oh, when you come back over, you can stay with us," and like yeah, and that part of part of Turkey was meant to be like the day before we were there. There was like um, Kurdish soldiers or something were like shooting at police or something in the like main street, and then when we got there, it was like nothing, and they were eating street food on the street. It was like nothing had even happened. But like if you had just listened, if before we got there we'd watched the news and it was like, oh, this is happening, you would steer clear of it. If you get what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it speaks to most of the world, man. Most of the world is good. It's just the media, the propaganda, and just people trying to sell a story, and the
Mm.
governments against each other,
Yeah.
for some reason or another, economic or what have you, kind of squabble.
Experience it for yourself. That's all I can say is go over there and experience it for yourself and be respectful of the culture and the people.
That was great, man. I was just about to ask for some parting advice, and that was great advice. Honestly, man, that was incredible. And I think we're gonna wrap up soon, but thank you for coming on, man, and thank you for sharing your experiences and spending your time on here.
Yeah. Oh, I have so many stories. Like, yeah. Oh, yeah. You could almost do it like a 20-part series on this and talk about a different country, every time. Like, I just have stories, like, I can pull up a picture from Russia and I can tell you exactly where we were and what happened when we were at that spot. And there's so much I can talk about. Yeah.
Dude, we could talk for hours, man, and it's just easy to talk to you.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Like, it was such an honor to like meet all you guys and meet all the people that we met on the rally, and like I made lifelong friends. Like, I mean, I haven't seen you since we met at the when we last met, but like I'm the kind of person that like you see me in the street and we'll be like, oh man, it was like we were never apart. Oh, what have you been up to? Oh, and you just talk about your life, and it's just like, oh, cool. And then you might not see me for another 4 years or whatever, and then it just, I'm really grateful for all the people that I met on that rally, for sure.
No, it's so special meeting people like you, man. Like you said, I haven't seen you in 5 years, but we talk every now and then, and I look up to your like mountain biking adventures and stuff like that, and I'm like, shoot you a message every now and then, and see what you're up to. And it's so good that to see you going well, to see you doing well, and see your family doing well and healthy and everything like that. So uh, that makes me happy, man. And if you ever want to come to the U.S., if you ever you know get the chance, and I would love to show you around Utah and Park City and stuff like that. And we have some amazing mountain bike trails you would love here.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, that's what I'm into. Yeah. Yeah, I'd love to come over and do some trips and bring the family over. And the mother-in-law was actually recently just over in Utah, I think, at a wedding. Her partner's son lives over there, and they got married in New Zealand, and they to an American girl, and they just got married over there like recently. So yeah, they've been over there and around all that stuff. It's pretty cool. It looks like a cool place to go and hang out and experience the American culture. So you sort of see it on the TV and stuff like that, and you're kind of like, whoa, like it's crazy. What's that
Yeah,
big petrol station in America? Bucky's. Is it Bucky's?
Bucky's, correct. Yeah,
Yeah, and they're like
that's the
fucking
like
massive.
Texas thing. And yeah, that's correct. It's one of the craziest gas stations of all time.
Yeah, and that's like I love that sort of shit. Like every place we went to when we were over in Europe, I'd like go into the supermarket. I tried to eat almost every ice cream that we could in different countries. Yeah, it's yeah, I love all that sort of stuff. Just experiencing different things, even if they're the same things. I like seeing what you've got in your supermarket. It's a bit fucking weird, but I think it's cool.
No, it's all about what you like, man. It's
Yeah,
all about what you find interesting in the world,
yeah,
um, and making the most out of your human experience, man.
yeah, for sure.
And I think you're making a very good uh, human experience, man. And I think you're making the most out of it.
I'm trying to. Work's getting in the way though.
Yeah, but you've got the dynamic of traveling and having a family and everything like that. So
Yeah,
you've had the experiences, and um, you're gaining that family experience now. So I think it's a great thing, man.
yeah, for sure. It's a whole different scenario now, but I get to share it with my little man and my wife now. So yeah, we sort of do everything together. Yeah,
Yeah, man, and just enjoy your life, man. That's
yeah,
what I can impart to everyone. And on if you're listening, just enjoy your life and make the most of it. That's all
yeah,
I gotta say.
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Honestly. Well, thank you, Cam. I appreciate you, man.
no problem,
It's
man.
been
You
a real
appreciate
pleasure.
that. You hear
All
my
right.
son in the background. He's amped. We're just about to go walk up that centre of New Zealand track.
Nice. He should. Yeah, that's awesome. And he's excited. You could hear it. I could hear him in the background, and
Yeah,
um, he's ready. I could tell he's ready to go.
yeah. He's absolutely frothing. We'll go to the park lately, and he'll just go up, and he wants to go all the way to the top of the hill. So we're just getting there. We're going to go out for a walk now and go see if we can get to the top. You say hi.
Hi, Sonny.
Yeah. So
That's awesome, man. Well, thank you, Cam. Again, I will be in touch,
yeah, sweet.
and I'll be speaking to you later. And when I come to New Zealand, I'll definitely be letting you know well in advance.
Yeah, awesome. I'm looking forward to it.
Same, man. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And folks, always remember, the world is your oyster. That's a wrap on this episode of People, Places, and Things. Thanks for joining us on this journey. Whether you're dreaming of your next adventure or just love hearing stories from across the globe, we hope we inspired a bit of wanderlust in you today. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with fellow travelers. Until next time, keep exploring, keep dreaming, keep discovering new people, places, and things.